Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, here we go. We are welcoming everybody that's on Facebook, on YouTube. We want to continue where we started. Okay. So we have only examined questions and background research.
Yeah.
So let's go back to number 3. Can you remember the photograph? The diagram? So the diagram is after the background research, we go to construct a hypothesis. So we are going to go to construction of an hypothesis. But before then, let me ask you, what's going through your mind in regards to this subject of using scientific methods in every life situation to approach every given life situation? What do you think that could do to Africa? Can we really use this method to build our country, infrastructure, people, everything solid, to make Africa solid, bring Africa to development and civilization? How can this bring civilization and development? Anybody have an idea about that?
I think it can. I feel like it can make life so much easier because it just gives you an outline or a roadmap of what to do in any situation in life, and it just puts a lot of order into chaos. That's what I'm seeing, and really it can be applied to any situation, any area of society, any sphere of life, and you will always know what to do in order to get the results that you need. So if you want to build a road, for example, you just have to go by these steps and ask the right questions, do the background research to find the materials that you need in order to create, the rest of the steps. Create the hypothesis and then test it, by, I'm not really familiar with building roads, but I don't know, maybe you need some machines or cars to and weather conditions to test the material of the street that you have built and everything, so that you can decide what type of material to use and to plaster the street with. So I think it's just very, very helpful material.
It's fundamental.
Yeah, it's very fundamental manual in order to build anything in life.
Schools, hospitals,
Yeah.
students,
Okay.
politics,
Yeah. Even relationships.
relationships,
Yeah.
family. It will prevent a lot of fights,
Yeah.
conflict.
That's what I just wanted to say.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say I was seeing it from a different perspective, because I was thinking this is the reason why some part of the world are classified as civilized and others are not.
Of course, because some are living by emotions and instincts and reflexes, and others are living by facts.
Yeah, and because one factor for development is security, peace and safety. This will, if not eliminate, at least mitigate to a great extent the amount of conflicts we have, be it religious conflict, tribal conflict, because you can critically analyze an issue to determine what the problem is, rather than just...
What about conflict? Blame game.
Yeah.
It is the Igbos that are to blame. It is the Hausas.
Yeah.
It is blame game will go because you will see all the facts.
Yeah.
For example, when I was growing up, they were always in the West. People were always saying that it is the North that is responsible for all our problems. This is what people say in Yoruba land.
Yeah.
It is the North that is responsible. It is the North that is responsible. If they would just, if only the South, everything would be okay. Then I grew up. I began to discover that actually people don't even know what they are talking about. If they are talking about the North, maybe they are talking about just some few elite. But when I went to the North, ooh, I said, thank God it is not the South that is living like the North is living.
Yeah.
They are much worse than the South. Thank God they are not the ones they would have. I don't know what they would have done. And, you know, it is just because people don't use scientific methods in all those things. They just use sentiments. So it will bring about harmony, no conflict, no hatred. You know, there will be facts, there will be common sense, understanding. You will know that people are people. No one people is, you know, fundamentally bad and others are good. You know, everybody is the same. We are all the same people.
Yeah, and that's why in Europe you hardly see ethnic
Conflicts like that,
conflicts
no.
that are within a country.
No.
The only things you get are still people
Foreigners
have
who are coming.
clash of that civilization
Yeah.
because one group don't apply this method, while the other group does, and that's why we still see minor conflict here and there.
Even though they came now to Europe.
Yeah, but in Africa it's like it's
Nobody is
everywhere.
using the method.
African country, you see conflict within the tribes, within the states, within people just jump into conclusion without, like like this. It's so amazing. Like this issue of Buhari wants to Islamize
Nigeria.
I say, just sit down and think.
You know, some people believe that.
The guy
No
has been
facts,
in
so-
office for 3 years. He has not Islamized us for 3 years.
It's not even possible.
It's impossible.
Because Bishop is saying it.
It's for me. Do you know?
It's like they just
how?
want to fight for no reason. They just like to make crisis. It's a pity. Ignorance.
Yes, sir. I think the problem is this, the way I see it. The ignorance, like in the book, I think, is this book, Ignorance?
The mountain of ignorance.
Knowledge has always to contend with ignorance
Yeah.
anyway. And the first thing that happens when knowledge comes, ignorance has to fight.
Yeah. It doesn't just disappear. We first of all fight.
It has to fight. When light comes, darkness has to fight. And this is the problem. And now, whereby it's like a point of light, you can then imagine the overwhelming nature of the darkness that will like to come into play to contend with this light.
What I'm thinking is that I think it is this thing we are talking that will bring true independence to us.
Exactly.
Because what will mean political independence when the mind of the people are not independent?
Yes. So, for instance, even few decades ago, it's not like the concept of using scientific method to tackle issues is alien to Africa. It has been there. To some degree, it was taught in the universities.
And then we lost
And then
it.
it's like nobody cared about it because there were people who were fighting to make sure that it never happened.
Wow.
And this is where the problem is. Unfortunately, the problem escalated to the extent we are finding it today. So that's the more reason this time around, because I believe it's something that the time is right, and there is nothing anybody can do about it.
The time is right.
Yeah, it's, we are in the information age, and there are a whole lot of information.
Maybe I should write a book on this one also, on this particular method of building a country or resolving Africa's problem through scientific method. Yeah, why not? I think we should do it.
Exactly.
Because since the time is ripe, maybe the books will go to schools. And
Yes, yes. Like we said yesterday, let a curriculum be designed
Yes.
for schools. And that will be the bedrock for this to be built upon.
Beautiful. I will do it. Rosa wants to say something.
Applying this method to develop our country, I think it will touch all aspects of life in Africa. If you look at the medical sector of it, so many people die in Africa than here in the Western world. But the difference is, when somebody died here, they try to find out what is the cause. And from that cause, they try to find out how can we avoid such disease? How can we cure it? But in Africa, nobody cares. They will just assume, yeah, he has stomach pain, he has this, but nobody cares to go into the...
It is
Yeah,
witches
that's
and
true.
wizards there in Africa.
Yeah, in so many cases, they will believe, especially when you die young, they will say, yeah,
Okay.
they kill you out of jealousy. Yeah, they'll just believe in witches and wizards, as you said. And going to educational, it will just change all aspects of life in Africa. When you go
It
to
will.
educational level, even just within ourselves, if you have a problem, as you start looking at it following this method, you change yourself, and then by educating the people around you, I think it will also have a huge impact in us, because we tend to just believe things, just as my sister said, without finding out what is the cause of it, how can I avoid this in future.
No scientific method.
And that is the biggest problem the biggest difference between Africa and the Western world. Because when anything happens here, they don't just end at looking at what has happened. They go back to what is the cause of it. Just like this accident that people are dying. If it were here, it would not just end at the news that so many people died, this amount of people died. They will first of all find out what is the cause. And from the cause, they start making research how to avoid it in future. And that is something that we are totally blind in Africa to avoid similar things in future. Because the same thing happened over and over. Nobody cares to do something that would avoid those things to happen again.
So it means that we must now return the African nations, African countries, the foundation
Yes.
has to be built on scientific method all over again.
All the way from primary
Yeah.
education. That's the point. Yeah. All the way from primary education. Yeah.
So it has to be the whole country, holistically, from primary school to university, entertainment, Nollywood, churches. We have to educate everybody. This is the only
Yes.
way society functions.
This also reminds me about the educational system of Africa. In Africa, they will put a child of 5 years in the same class with a child of 9 to 10 years. And they will not understand that their understanding is not the same. But here, they go as far as when they notice that from birth, this child has a
Challenge.
drawback problem. They will not put you in the same class with children that are normal. They'll put you apart and you have a special method of teaching. And after some certain years, this child will pick up. So this method would actually affect everything, all aspects of life in Africa. So we have to start from the bottom, from primary school, from our educational level, from primary school, before we even go to what is happening to the road, like constructions. Yeah, construction should become maybe like the 10th. We have to start from the source of it. Yeah, the source of it, the root. The roots. Yeah, because if you don't attack it from the root, just as you said, it already killed the youth. The way our educational level is being built up, it already killed some.
Do you people think they will hear this thing?
Yeah.
Or we should just go and do, like I said, maybe we should go and do like NGO movement, or government can listen.
New generation of people. I'm just adding something. He wants to talk.
Sorry, no, he wants to say. Yeah?
Okay, in response to Pastor's
Okay, Pastor was asking.
Maybe we should just forget about government and
Yes, we can't do it. Let's just forget about the government. The people that have this passion should start doing something about it. You know, by the time.
So we have to try to change the mind of every segment. So we have to target, first of all, education, right? What about also doing debates, seminars, training, symposiums?
Pastor, what I'm thinking is people that have inclinations in different areas can start forming quorums and start, discussing about projects that we can start doing in different areas. People that have interest in education can start meeting up and looking at what
How
can
to
be
introduce this
yes,
method into education?
Yes, what can be done
To
what's
mothers,
your area,
to parents,
people that have passion for health,
women.
can start engaging on that level. And I think that's how this
Introduce this into
yes,
health
they
sector.
may not necessarily
Introduce it into educational
yes,
sector. Introduce it into.
I think that's the way this thing will work.
Felix wanted. Okay.
Doctor, I think Nigerian politicians, they need to read this book. All of them, starting from Buhari. This book.
No,
Read
put
yourself
the
up.
telephone down. Now.
Oh, sorry, because I want to read something from there. Read yourself of shallow mindedness. All Nigerian politicians.
But even the ones who are here have not read it yet.
What the ones who are?
We who are here now.
Because we are talking about.
All of us have not even read it. But you mean that apart from us, politicians too?
Because we are dealing with
politicians.
The
country.
Africa, or maybe Nigeria, because I know I have a passion for Nigeria, to be quite honest. Now,
tell us more about it. Why do you have to justify it?
Yeah, because we are
read yourself
read yourselves of shallow mindedness. Now, why is it that Africa? Yeah, why is it that Africa is being classified as third world countries? It's because we are not civilized. And why are we not civilized? It's because we lack foresight. Now, why do we lack foresight? It's because our thinking faculty is damaged.
We don't think.
We don't think. So, you've just said it right. We need to go back to the very foundation.
I expect you to tell me what is in the book that they must discover in the book.
Right. In this book, there is let me pick one topic that it talked about the beginning of everything. And the beginning of everything has to do with words. Right? Now, in Africa, we don't value words. We talk. But we don't understand. It's just like when we say, I love you. Some people don't understand what that love means. Some people, for example, maybe I like this sister, but I'm using love. So,
read yourself of shallow mindedness.
Mindedness, yeah, and it's integrity. If people are shallow minded, you will lack integrity, and this is one of the things we really lack in Africa: integrity. So it's right from the top, all the way from the top to the bottom. So because people are shallow-minded, you lack the ability to put things in order, and it's part of what is even causing egocentrism. Even that this egocentrism we are even talking about, we will connect it with being shallow-minded.
You know, the motto for this book is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It says, "Shallow men believe in luck. Strong men believe in cause and effect."
I read. Yeah.
Is it not the same thing
Yeah,
that we've been talking about?
You look, imagine. Shallow people believe in
Shallow people believe in miracles.
in miracles. and
Miracle seekers.
And as you are just enlightening us, because they want to jump the process.
Beautiful. They want to jump the process.
You know long jump. You know, I don't know if you did long jump. Me, I did long jump.
Miracle seekers. But that's what they price in Africa. But actually it's shallow-mindedness.
No, actually it's shallow-mindedness. So this book, I'm going to Nigeria anyway. If my friend called me today, and then he said, listen, I've just come out from Nigeria. We are going to Nigeria. A lot has to be fixed. So this book, my program, is me and my friend to team up together, and how can we spread this book into the academic system? This book will liberate people's mind from egocentrism.
Yes.
It's in the church and in the secular world. So it's all about me. So this all about me is not something that is just in the church. It's outside of the church. So when you have limited your thoughts to yourself alone, how would you be able to be concerned
about other people?
About other people.
Or the society.
That is why when you were saying that, thank God I didn't die in this accident. God saved me. Thank God God saved me. That's an egocentric spirit. You know? God saved you, but how about those that have died? So you see, people, as long as my own street road is okay, I don't care about other roads. That's egocentrism. As long as me and my family, as long as I can send my children to good schools. Because some people that are not care about, as long as they can send their children to good schools, they don't care. So this is what is going on in...
How would this book help?
This book will help in the sense of making people to start thinking.
And question everything.
Not being superficial in their thoughts.
Beautiful.
So it's just the ability to start thinking.
So if we could make the whole Nigeria begin to think.
To think. If all this one we are talking is not the foundation, no. If we go back, that is the foundation of the solution. It's just like you give someone 1 million. Oh yeah, take 1 million, go and do business. And he's a shallow-minded person. He's going to squander the money, just like the prodigal son. He was a shallow-minded individual. So when we are dealing with issues in Africa, we need to start from the basis. It's a gradual. And you've thought about the process.
So when did you hear about this particular book yourself?
Right from before I came.
Before you came?
Before I came, yeah.
Not just here?
No, not just here. Not just here. I started by your book, Who Am I? I started by your book, Who Am I?
You got it in England?
Yeah, in England. I got it in England. Very powerful book, To Discover Purpose. And that's another thing. Africans don't live by purpose. Yeah, they don't live by purpose. They just live by...
So all these books then are needed now? Not just the one.
No. I'm talking about the... All these books are needed. All these books are needed. But we have to start...
Okay, with the foundational ones.
With the foundation ones.
Thinking.
The act of thinking. Because you said in that book that once you cannot think, you are dead.
Yes.
So if you're
so
not...
what do you want to do with your friend on this book?
What we want to do is, because we both have passion for the country, what we want to do is that we need to talk on how we can, it's just like when you were doing marketing, how we can
distribute.
That's going to be the main focus.
Or
Okay,
popularize it.
We need to make this book spread around. But how are we going to do it? This is what we need to talk about. How are we going to do it?
Are you targeting schools or what?
It's going to be, you have to start from schools. That's the main schools, because the youths starting from secondary school, universities, students.
Okay.
So, if we keep talking about this, believe me, it will take forever. We will not exhaust this topic. But like you said, we have to go back to the very beginning.
Okay.
And this whole program started with that. The foundation of African society is based on this paganistic worldview. And to be able to do anything, we have to go back there and dig it out from its foundation and overthrow it. This is the first point of call, because this is a system that is based on wickedness. And it is this wickedness that is destroying African society.
And the church has adopted the same thing.
Because this is the pattern the church adopted. That's why there is wickedness in the church. Yes. So, and they don't know, they think they are doing you a favor by pointing you to heaven. Why they are pointing you to hell? This is the problem. Most of the destructions now, even in government, that government is not even taking churches serious anymore. The society is not taking churches serious anymore. They think the church is a problem. Even the unbelievers think the church is
unbelievers? We are supposed to be lying to them. They are not the light to us.
Yeah, to the extent that they are calling even Christians dark people.
Wow.
So these are the challenges that we are facing and that we need to start working on. So, like you said, in the beginning was the world, the word. Then this word became light and dwelt among men. So this light has been entrusted to us right now. And it is this light that we have to take back to Africa.
Beautiful. Okay. We'll continue. Let me give the preview to people who are just joining us on Facebook, YouTube. So the topic we're examining is, of course, the whole question, the whole topic for this HMT is the art of questioning. And the topic of today is building a new Africa through scientific methods. And I like what people are saying right now, because people understand that this is the foundation. Until we put this as the foundation of the whole African continent, we are not even going to build a continent or a country. So we don't have foundation. Our foundation right now is emotion, is sentiment, is anger, is paganistic worldview. But if we want to build the whole civilized, a new continent, we just have to put scientific method, questioning, reasoning, cause and effect on the basis. Because weak people run after miracles, weak people believe in miracles, but strong people, strong men, believe in cause and effect. So we have now we are examining right now what is scientific method and how did they, all the steps of the scientific method. So now we are in step number 3, construct a hypothesis.
Step number 3, construct a hypothesis. A hypothesis is an educated guess about how things work. It is an attempt to answer your question with an explanation that can be tested.
You remember what I said the hypothesis is like an assumption, but that is based on some facts, on the research. You remember the second one was research.
Yeah.
So it is the hypothesis is coming out of the research. Because, so the research gives you some facts that you are using as the basis for your hypothesis. Then an hypothesis also can be cross-checked or tested or examined if it is true or not. Okay?
A good hypothesis allows you to then make a prediction. If I do this, then this will happen. State your hypothesis and the resulting prediction you will be testing. Predictions must be easy to measure.
Okay?
Help for this step. Variables. Number one, the things that are changing.
So that means that hypothesis must have variables. You remember I told you about two variables.
Yeah.
Either you can remove and replace salt. You have to put salt and sugar in that thing. Either you can remove and place and test it, or you can measure. So those are the two main hypotheses two main variables in hypothesis. Yes, please.
Number one variable. The things that are changing in an experiment are called variables. A variable is any factor, trait, or condition that can exist in differing amount of types.
All types.
Or types. Number two, an
That
experiment.
means changing. You can change the factors, you can change the elements, right?
Number two,
Or you can measure it or put different measurement to the variables.
Number two, an experiment usually has three kinds of variables: independent variable, dependent variable, and controlled variable.
So those things that you can change or measure, they might be something that is independent, that is, it could be done independently. Or some of them, they depend on the whole process itself. It's not you who decided. Or some of them, you control it. You just put experiment. You yourself construct it. It is fake. So independent is that you can do it, independently. But dependent is that you cannot influence it. And control is that you fake it. It's something you come up with. You just say, okay, that's what they do normally when they want to test medicine. They go and put the medicine to rats and give rats to eat. And if the rats can eat, that's controlled variables. Okay. So, knowing that, what is hypothesis? Let me give you an example of hypothesis. So, I've done some research about, let's take a Nigerian situation. I've done some research on, let's say, the fire that the truck that just exploded. And I've discovered that, okay, I don't even need research to do this hypothesis. Hypothesis number one is that so much casualty is possible because we don't have a separate road for trucks and lorries that carry explosive or fragile things like this. So that is hypothesis. That hypothesis is truthful, because if there had been different roads or routes, we won't have that casualty, that amount of casualty. Number two hypothesis that I have is that, and I have fact for the hypothesis, if 50 cars or 54 cars could be destroyed all at once, they couldn't escape. It means that either there was go slow, traffic, there was traffic in that place, or they couldn't turn. There are too many things behind them. So it means that road is too narrow, or there are no escape routes in those places. So what does that tell me? That is my second hypothesis. Those are already telling me the problems. No road for lorries alone. The road is too narrow and is too. So that's hypothesis number two. Number three hypothesis is that most likely fire brigade is not existent in Africa. or if it's existent, it's not fast enough. Yeah, not functioning, not fast enough. Because, I mean, you could have stopped that devastation before it got that bad. So those are hypotheses, for example. Now, why they are hypotheses is because I have just come to those conclusions out of those facts that I can see. But then when I begin to go deeper and research, somebody could say, no, what happened was that there was an accident that blocked the something. It's not because I'm just, it's not because the road is too small. It's just because some people park their cars left, right, and center. So that's why they couldn't. Okay, now we could go to the nitty-gritty. But my hypothesis is what I have seen, then the control. So you remember it talks about independent. Independent is when I can say, okay, this is the hypothesis. Okay, let's see the variables. The variables is that we have all the information and we have come to the conclusion that, okay, this one will not go, this one will not go, because this is, this hypothesis is, the roads are not, we cannot do this. So independent are the things that we can construct, we can change ourselves. But dependent is that we are depending on the situation at ground. We cannot, dependent is that this accident happened in this road. So all our experiment has to be in that environment, that we depend on that thing that has happened in that country. If it had been in Europe, for example, but when you are doing independent, it could be in the laboratory background. So you can, in the laboratory, you can reconstruct, or it is just in the classroom. That is independent. But dependent, you confine to the environment of the thing that's happening. I don't know, are you getting it? But control is the one you can just change. You yourself can just do it here and say, okay, let me just, you can control what will happen. We can control everything about it. So, so the question that I want to ask you is this. Constructing hypothesis. How can constructing hypothesis help resolve issues in families, in schools, in educational sector, in society at large, in national problems, family problems, church, conflict, even in tribal nationality problems? Well, because what we are saying is that solving Africa's problem with the help of scientific method. And this is one of the most important aspects of scientific method, hypothesis, that we don't jump into conclusions. We don't just make sentimental statements. We don't just, respond angrily for nothing. We don't just come into conclusion because it is my people. We don't just come to a conclusion because I don't like North. We don't just come to conclusion because they kill Christians. I don't just come to conclusion because I'm a Christian myself. I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying. I must be able to sit down and construct hypotheses. Like I did when I was saying, okay, we have some facts and some information that these people speak Hausa. But when we begin to analyze it, okay, the Hausa they speak is not really the Nigerian Hausa. Then we discover that they are saying say Buhari. But that say Buhari they are saying, does it prove to us that it is Buhari that sent them? It is an hypothesis that it could be Buhari who sent them or behind them. But then we are also supposed to say, okay, that is a variable. Now, what are the other variables that we want to see in that area or we want to remove or put inside? So how can we use construction of hypothesis to resolve Nigeria or Africans' problems? Anybody want to comment on this? Felix.
So I think this is a very important step in the method, the scientific method, in the sense that it's on this that any future prediction, any future plan is hinged on.
Beautiful.
Because that's
even resolving the problem that just happened.
Even with the problem that is under discussion, because it will help you to second guess each and every step.
Every step. So you are not taking any step under assumption or bias or sentiment or religion or anything like that. Okay?
So that's why it's very important, because it will tell you how things are now, how things will work tomorrow, how things will work in 10 years or even 20 years.
And what are the different probabilities?
Yes, and because it will also help you to take care of the different dimensions of situations that will arise while this plan is being
okay, then with what you are saying now, you are talking sense now. What about when this thing is happening? Or is a pity, maybe you are not in my, no, don't take it. You are not in my position. But let's say you are in my position and everybody begin to write 200, I've written 200 letters this week alone saying, you are not talking. You people are betraying our people. You are betraying the church. You are betraying. So how will you now, could you now see that there is a reason why this man is not talking? No. You must do, even to talk will be like a crime. For me, if I just bypass all these things and I just go and begin to talk, I don't know. But all Nigeria is talking right now. They are not just talking; they are cursing. They are, they are making political statements. They are hating. Their hatred is everywhere now. Anger is everywhere. What will you now say towards this thing with what you know?
With what I know presently, if I'm in your position, I will still not talk until I have all the facts available for me, because there is a difference between someone who has insight, foresight, and oversight. Because you are speaking from a position of oversight. Some people are not even appreciating the fact that you are looking at a situation whereby whatever you want to say or whatever input you want to introduce into the discussion is something that will provide a solution. And not
of course,
and not something that will or even aggravate the sentimentality that has been there. And this is the difference between someone who wants to create a change and someone who wants to just stoke the fire.
What about then the church people? How will you tell them? What will you tell them? Because the church people are thinking that you are betraying, you have sold out, either to the president or to the party or to the Islamic agenda. That's what they say.
Now, the church.
Because they think you are our own.
Yeah. The church, especially the church in Nigeria today, are not even united. Because if they know what it is to be a church, they know that unity is one of the greatest gifts that has been given to the church. And until the church in Nigeria, especially the Christian church, have one voice, can come together in the same place and try to unite themselves with one common purpose. And their purpose is not even outside of the love mandate that has been given to the church. Anything outside of love is not of God, because God is love. So when
you must have a common ground.
Yeah. They have to have a common ground on the issue of love, because that's the greatest mandate that has been given to the church. So until the Christian church, because now it's only in Nigeria and also in Africa that even somebody from, let me use Redeem, cannot even step into Christ Embassy to go and worship. Somebody from Christ Embassy cannot go into
Redeem, Winners Chapel,
into Winners or Mountain of Fire to worship. Everybody, I don't even know what they are doing, because this is not church. Unlike even the Muslim faith that are being criticized,
any mosque,
you can go step into any mosque and you worship, and nobody will disturb you. But it's only in the Christian church that this is my church. It's the church is nobody's church. It's the church of Jesus Christ. It's not that of an individual. And until they understand that is Jesus that owns the church, and he wants his disciples to be united in love then they are not making any forward movement. So with regards to the issue of the Nigerian question, I believe we have to come back also to the drawing table and use the Acts of Apostle mandate that the foundation of the church was laid on. And then from there we can step forward towards progress and towards fulfilling the mandate that has been given to us.
Excellent. Is there anybody that would like to also say how we can use hypothesis to tackle the problem of the society? Nobody. Okay, let's continue then. So, but do you people understand the hypothesis number 3? Is it well understood? Yeah. Or not? Okay. Okay.
Can there be urgency? Can there be any situation that will warrant you or any individual to sidetrack these processes? Maybe, for instance, they are killing many Christians and they are burning churches.
Yes.
And so, are you saying one should still keep quiet and engage in the scientific method of research while people are dying?
Number one, for me, it doesn't matter who they are killing. It doesn't have to be Christians or Muslims. That is part of the sentiment we are talking about. Because in paganism, in paganistic worldview, it is us against them. It is either me or an enemy. So you see the difference in killing who they are killing. And that's the problem in Nigeria. Oh, they are killing Southerners. Oh, they are killing my people. Oh, they are killing Christians. It doesn't matter who they are killing. It doesn't matter who is even killing. What matters is that tragedy is happening. What matters is that any human being is being killed. And so the first thing the emergency, what emergency means, and if you, in the West here, there is emergency services. Emergency means you go and just stop the tragedy. Your response, emergency response, means you just go and stop the havoc itself. You don't have name tag to it. It's not the killing of Muslims or Christians or my village or my country. It is just stopping the tragedy. Then, when we set up the committee or the commission, then when we want to now analyze what happened and how to prevent the things going forward and to resolve the thing reoccurring and things, then we use all the process, due process.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, because emergency response is different from reaching a conclusion. So what I'm saying is that by the time I go there to stop the tragedy, I am not passing blame. Yes, I am not. It is not. That is not the time to condemn or say they are Christians or something. It's just a time for me to first of all stop the tragedy. And then we put in the analysis to resolve the issue. But the thing we must also resolve in Nigeria is that sentiment, it is sentimental. And it is sentiment that makes us to say they are killing Christians. And by the time you begin to emphasize that they are killing Christians, which is true that they are killing Christians, then you are emphasizing who rather than what. And the danger in that is that the emphasis, the headlines will be Christians is what they are killing. And what does that generate in ordinary human beings? Enmity, segregation, and anger. That is why we don't emphasize who killed, who they are killing. We emphasize what has happened. Tragedy has happened. What led to that tragedy? What is our emphasis rather than who? So who says who have they killed and who killed them? Word says what has happened and what can we do. We are not totally eliminating who, but it will be a thorough, it will be who will be discovered in the due process of applying scientific method. Then when you now come to a conclusion, nobody will say you have done that conclusion out of sentiment, that it is your people that was killed. Nobody will now say you have done your conclusion because you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, or because we hate herdsmen. You are doing a thorough job so that even the herdsmen themselves will say, by the time you find them guilty, they will not have nothing to say. That's the advantage of scientific method.
In a corrupt society where you can't guarantee transparency, how can you engage in a scientific method when you know that some people could be paid to boycott some of the processes?
Okay, the only thing that is absolute in scientific method is the method itself. So we will allow Muslims to be there. We will allow part of those people to be there and Christians to be there. But the only allegiance is that all of us are following the same method. Okay. So even though I want to be corrupt, but because there is a method, there is a formula that everybody is following, you cannot bypass the formula. And everybody is there. Muslim is there, Christian is there, everybody, neutral people are there. And it is method that, it is not me that made the conclusion. It is not Christian that reached the conclusion. It's not the Muslim that reached the conclusion. It is the method that reached the conclusion. That is why Christians, that is why scientists, they don't like Christians. Because they think that Christians are just emotional and sentimental, but they are not using scientific method. So they are saying they don't care. Just let it be scientific. Whereas this scientific method is born out of Christianity and out of the Bible. But when you become too overly spiritual, you throw it away. You say you are secular. You are not spiritual. So what I'm trying to say is that truth is, when the truth is defined, when the basis, the parameter is defined. And what we are doing right now, don't let us take this method to begin to talk about herdsmen or Christian killing right now. What we are talking about is just the importance of this method. What we are talking about, we are not even talking about using it right now for anybody. I'm just using this as an example. But what we are really talking about now is that we should just teach this method to the schools, Christians, Muslims, every human being in Nigeria, in their families. Let's just first of all teach them first. Let us just first of all introduce this thing first. Let us first of all just make people to know that at least this is the way to think. And let them even them begin to use it for themselves in their own private life first, and then their families first, before we now go to the global things like in the national problems.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay. So according to the steps that you see here, we have step number 1 is ask a question. Step number 2 is do background research, which we have gone through. We have gone through step number 1. We have gone through step number 2. We have gone through step number 3. Now we are going to do step number 4, which is test with experiment. That is, you have to do experiment of that hypothesis. There are hypotheses. One is coming from the other. So question, everything starts with question. Then from the question, you have to do background information. Then from the background, you have to do research. Construct hypothesis. Then the hypothesis itself has to be experimented. You don't just believe your own hypothesis. It has to be tested. And that's where we are going now. Testing your own hypothesis. Don't just believe your own hypothesis. You see the difference? Because you are testing it so that none of you should be there. Not your belief, not your sentiment, nothing. You have to still take it through the experiment. And I want everybody to go and share this message. Please share. Go share the message on your Facebook, YouTube, timeline, inboxes, of your friends, in the groups, Facebook groups, everywhere. So we are moving to the fourth step in scientific method right now.
Step number 4, test with an experiment.
Test your hypothesis with an experiment. Test your hypothesis with an experiment. You don't just test it by thinking in your head. The test must include an experiment, and it must be recorded. Every step must be recorded, what you are doing, so that you'll be able to provide the evidence to people. Where are the experiments you did? What are the tests? What are the hypotheses? What was the research? What is the question? What is the background information? But you see, also I want to answer the question of Tokwe, that for me, for example, this method has become automatic. You are saying, how can you use time? I mean, will you need time? Because I'm teaching you now, for me, it is already, why am I sitting here and I've not even read too much of things, but I could do analysis already and build hypothesis about the tank that burst. Yeah, and I can do hypothesis about the things. It's already automatic for me. So when it's already part and parcel of your life, you just begin, that's the only way you begin to reason and think. Your thinking is not just emotional or chaotic or instinctive only. You are going to be scientific in your approach. No. Okay, yeah, he's talking to me. Yeah, go ahead. So the top number 4 step.
Number 4 step of the scientific method: test your hypothesis by doing an experiment. Your experiment tests whether your prediction is accurate, and thus your hypothesis is supported or not.
You see, it is always important for hypothesis to be tested. Why? For accuracy, number 1. Secondly, so that you know that it is supported. There is a base for it. There are bases for it. There are foundations for it. So, but in Nigeria is a country in Africa where people just make statements without being supported. People will just come and make declarations. People will just come and say things without accuracy or anything. They don't even know that what they are saying must be supported. For example, somebody is saying, I'm going to I'm going to say where we disagree with you again. Somebody is saying Buhari is wrong by saying Nigerian youth are lazy. But he's right. I can support that on scientific method and prove to you, and you can never prove that it is. Because even if the country is like that already, it's already right.
Yeah.
Of course. He definitely, he might have, not because he is smart, but because he is privy to information, because he has ministers, they have government. So it is not his own, we woke up one morning and made statement. Those are based on the activities and exercises of his government. So that is what is making him to make that statement. He might not even know one youth. But those things he said, it is because of what is on ground that they have said. Yes. Okay.
It is important for your experiment to be a fair test. You conduct a fair test by making sure that you change only one factor at a time while keeping all other conditions the same.
Okay, is that understood or not? No?
Just like the explanation about salt.
About salt.
Salt, yeah.
Okay, for example, you remember that salt and sugar. If I said, no, this thing is not good with, you said I should be using salt and sugar. It is not good. I said, why? Because I removed salt and then it was sweeter. I said, okay, did you also try to put salt and remove sugar? You didn't do that. No, I only did one. Then you cannot just come to the conclusion. Okay, then the question will be, when you remove salt and put sugar, what was the taste? You have to record it. Now, when you now remove sugar and put salt, what was the taste? You have to record it. Then what is now the difference? What is the measurement of the difference when there was salt and sugar and when there was only salt alone? And then what was the difference when there was only sugar alone? You must take every step, try it, experiment it at a time. Don't just reach a conclusion because you did one, or if you remove everything at the same time, you are not being fair. You are not being fair because you went and removed salt and sugar at the same time and said, well, you know, the thing is not sweet. But I told you must put salt and sugar now. You cannot just say it's not sweet because you just remove everything. Okay, tell me what happened when you remove one. What about when you remove another one? What about when you put it? What about... This is what he's trying to say here. Let's read it again and let's see. Maybe it will be clearer.
It is important for your experiment to be a fair test. You conduct a fair test by making sure that you change only one factor at a time while keeping all other conditions the same.
So you cannot just assume that something like, for example, let's talk about that same that same Fulani killing. If you just assume that they want to Islamize Nigeria, or these are herdsmen killing, something like that, that is, you have to tell me, how have you seen every other factor? Have you experimented every variables? Have you tested everything? If you have done every one of them and none of them fit, and only this one fits, that is a fair. But you have not done the experiment at all. No variables, nothing. And you just say because they are Muslims. No, that is too... It doesn't work like that. Look at this diagram, for example. Can you see a diagram? It is the same plant, though. Tomato plant. But there are ingredients in that vase. When one is removed, it has an effect. When two are removed, when three are removed, it is one that is being removed at a time. Then when everything is there, you see second to the last result. But there is a particular one that is, when everything is removed, it is the last one to the left. Nothing is there. But when just a little bit is there, you see the second one. That is what you get. Now, when a lot is there, but just one is missing, that's when you have the one that has fruit, but not so good. But when you remove some other things and just a little, maybe 80% is there, you have the last one, only the grain without the fruit. I don't know if you understand. Yeah. So how do you get all these results? It is because different elements are being removed and added at a particular time. If you just remove everything, then you get the last one only. But you just put one back, you get that one. 2 or 3 out of 5, 4 back, you get that one that has fruits, but not too many. But 3 back, you get the last one. I don't know if you put... Yeah. So that is what he's talking about here. That experiment, this is what is called experiment. Do we still need to read it again? Okay, let's read it once again.
It is important for your experiment to be a fair test. You conduct a fair test by making sure that you change only one factor at a time while keeping all other conditions the same.
One factor at a time, okay?
You should also repeat your experiment several times to make sure that the first result weren't just an accident.
You have to keep on, when you do the same steps, you have to keep on getting the same result. If the result changes in one, it means you have made a mistake. You have to start that something all over again. That is the advantage of scientific method.
Help for this step. Number 1, experimental procedure. Number 2, materials list. What type of supplies and equipment you will need to complete your project. Number 3, conducting an experiment. Follow your experimental procedure exactly. If you need to make changes, which often happens, write down the changes exactly as you made them. Make notes or pictures of your experiment.
Now, another problem we are having, and what I had when I was a young African person in Africa, is that we used to think that experiment is only for science.
I think they still think like that.
They still think like that. You think so?
Yeah.
Yes.
Till now, till date.
Even those who are in the science field. This is the first time.
What?
This is the first time I'm seeing this
Scientific
method being applied to life, daily
Hey.
life. I thought it was only for research. When you want to write a paper,
Are you
when you want
serious?
to defend your project, when you
No.
honestly. So I'm really surprised that it can be so applicable to your daily
Yeah.
existence. Yes.
That's the same way people in the church say that it's against
Science is
People in
against-
the church think this is against God
the science is
because science is against God.
Well, you should be wrong though, because they call God omniscience.
No, wait, talk now.
No, I want to say that that's the challenge that, how do I call it, atheists. Did I pronounce
Have
it well?
with us,
Have with
atheist,
us.
yes.
Because I had a friend and a work colleague that was an atheist, and we normally discuss. So I try to like make him see reasons from our point of view. But one thing he said to me one day, he said, "Christian, let me tell you the truth. The reason, what the atheist community hates and can't understand about Christians is this: whatever they don't understand, they call it God. They just bring God into the picture. They just pluck God from thin air, boom. But they don't question to say, okay, why is that thing like that? And begin to find out. He said that's where atheism, that what they don't understand, they want to continue to do research over and over again until they can try and understand it. He said, but what he can't understand is somebody will just say something, no evidence, nothing, and you can't even explain it. You just say, oh, it was God.
But what Tokpa just said now, what about if we now bring this method into every sphere of life and everyday life? This is what will save Africa, believe me.
Yeah.
We need to make this the foundation of the African society at large, either social, political, or even educational, or anything.
Before I give him to say, I just understand. I think once we start applying this method to our everyday life, I think a lot of pastors will lose their job. Yeah, because people will just see things as they are. And there will be no need to, what are you going there for? What are you going there for? They'll just out of job.
someone is even saying in the comment that it won't work.
Yeah, that's the mindset now.
So, remember when I said this method has been introduced, but unfortunately the people who introduced this method never gave it for life application in every facet of society. That's why it's limited.
Only for science.
Only in the school setting and in the classroom and laboratories of universities or secondary school. It was we were never taught that you can use it for each and everything that you do in life. That's why
We have lost, though.
it died a natural death until.
Because the whole larger society might not even be aware of that.
No, they are not aware. They don't even know that it exists. most people that went to university, yeah, you use it for projects or term papers, and then they will tell you after then, even you yourself, you don't even use it.
Even the guy who used it in the laboratory.
I'm telling you, this is it. Once outside the...
Even in their own life, they don't use it.
Once outside of that examination or that course,
Project.
or that course you did, that's the end of it.
I think you are right, Okwe. Can you hear confirmation? But what would now happen if we introduce this thing to everywhere? From children to everywhere.
Then you see that civilization coming back.
That's
what will happen. Then Africa will start growing. Africa will start finding its place back again in history.
But how is it that people I hear talk about Africa, either they are politicians or they are Christians or they are academics, they don't even remember. I mean, they just talk, okay, we'll build roads. Okay, let's elect a good president. But no method. I mean, there must be methodology.
That's the whole thing. And it's only this scientific method
that has been proven. It has worked everywhere.
It has worked in
everywhere.
European societies. It has worked in America and most civilized countries. Even in Asia, it's working today. But only in Africa because...
we don't even apply it in the society now.
Probably when I said about wickedness being entrenched in the paganistic worldview, this is what they use it for. It's a kind of a system of controlling the entire society.
But with this one control, we just disappear.
Exactly.
Your own control is in your...
Like someone said, that then most pastors are apparently going to lose their congregation and their churches.
Money and empires will crumble. So he wants to say something.
You can see signs of it now, even in places like Rwanda, because
it's working there already.
Because he's beginning to apply some of these things that you're talking about, and we're beginning to see the fruit of it. Even the Western world can take note of what is happening there now.
In Rwanda.
So it shows that it can happen in Africa.
I think the pastors in London could foresee what we are doing now. When you came to Westminster, Emmanuel Center.
Emmanuel Center.
I think.
Were you there?
They didn't allow us to come.
Okay.
Because
what
they
church
were
you going to that time?
I was in MFM then.
MFM.
Yes.
They are the one who say that don't go and listen to Pastor Sunday because it's only Pastor Oyinbo people.
Yeah.
He will not understand. He cannot understand our own problems. That is only Oyinbo problem he understands. They said I only understand Oyinbo problem. I don't understand our own African. The African problem are different.
That's what they used to keep us away. Before you came, they trusted. You know, Patrick Aunze came, and they trusted Aunze. All the pastors in London, to be fair to them, they trusted him because he was coming from Nigeria, and they let all their members go to his meeting. So that's how he managed to destroy everything. Nobody go back to the church again. So he exploited them. Then the whole thing go haywire. He went back to Nigeria and all that. So when you came now, they don't trust anybody to go listen to any preacher, especially if you are a Nigerian. So they say, this one don't go, because if we come then, and we know all these things, to be honest with you, all the churches will be closed, because it will be empty.
But they are still saying it up to today that people shouldn't go and listen to him. Even when there is no Avuza.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now they know where you stand and they know where you're coming from. So if people should listen to you now, there'll be no church. To be honest with you, there'll be no church. And they don't want that to happen. That's why I agree with what.
That's why they're fighting. That's why and I believe that's why all the fighting and all the attack on your personality. Yeah.
I think what Shioma said is what we have to do. We have to take our own destiny in our own hands. Not wait for government, not even wait for pastors. We should go and propagate these things the way we all can. Yeah? You want to say something? Okay. We should all go and propagate this thing the way we all can, either through NGO movements, schools, everywhere, like Emmanuel and his friends want to begin to do already. These are the kind of things we should do. Okay. We are going to the next step now. We have just, where are we? Step 4.
We just complete.
Experiment.
We just completed.
We just finished experiment.
Yeah.
So the question now is procedure working? That's just question. That's just, is the procedure working? If it is working or it's not working. Either it's working or it's not working, you must still analyze data and draw conclusions. So,
Number 5 of the scientific method. Step number 5. Analyze your data and draw a conclusion.
so let's say it's not working. You must analyze what you have done so far and why it is not working. Even if it is working, what did you do right that made it work? Yes.
Once your experiment is complete, you collect your measurements and analyze them to see if they support your hypothesis or not.
Okay, the person who is writing on Facebook that this thing will not work, so I should just keep quiet and keep it to myself. No, even if they are saying it is not going to work, so what should be my response? So I shouldn't even try. Me, I don't care if it's going to work or not. I must do my own job. I must do what my conscience will not condemn me tomorrow that I didn't do anything. I must give out what I know. I must share my experience and what I believe will work. So either it's not going to even work. So should I now say, okay, because it's not going to go home? But who says it's not going to work? It has worked everywhere.
So, sir, I would say based on this step, now let's ask that question. On what basis has she reached her conclusion?
What is the scientific method?
Has she tested it?
Has she
and
done
found
experiment?
that it won't work? So people just it's the same emotionalism, assumption, just jump into conclusion, sentiment. Have you tested it? Have you tried it in your own little corner and you discover it won't work before you just came out and say it won't work?
Yes, my response to that person would be if it worked for us in the universities for our projects that we submitted and we were able to graduate. Because if you didn't pass that project, you wouldn't graduate. Exactly. And we applied these principles to do those experiments. Why can't we see that if we apply it also in other areas, it will work?
Okay, so let's continue. Analyze your data and draw a conclusion.
Step number 5, analyze your data and draw a conclusion. Once your experiment is complete, you collect your measurements and analyze them to see if they support your hypothesis or not. Scientists often find that their predictions were not accurate and their hypothesis was not supported.
That will always happen. Don't be afraid of that. It is okay. It is part of the experiment to fail.
In such cases, they will communicate the results of their experiment and then go back and construct a new hypothesis.
What did Edison say? Is it 1,000 times or 10,000 times?
I think, 1,000
times. 1,000. And he said he found 10,000 ways of not to do it. So don't be afraid of experiments not working. It's just finding out ways that you shouldn't do it, that you should do it another way.
In such cases, they will communicate the results of their experiment and then go back and construct a new hypothesis and predictions based on the information they learned during their experiment.
Yeah. That's it. If you want to take, you can take photo. You can be taking photo. Although you have all of them in video anyway.
This starts much of the process of the scientific method over again. Even if they find that their hypothesis was supported, they may want to test it again in a new way.
Yeah, to see what result will come out.
And every one of you came near to me and said, Let us send men before us, and let them search out the land for us, and bring back word to us of the way by which we should go up, and of the cities into which we shall come.
For me, this is also a method right here, a scientific method that we've been applying in the Bible. God is using it, so why we shouldn't? So the next one, communicate. You have to communicate your results.
Step number 6, communicate your results. To complete your science fair project, you will communicate your results to others in a final report and or a display board. Professional scientists do almost exactly the same thing by 1. Publishing their final report in a scientific journal.
Because when you are sure of your experiment, you will like to share it with the world. And that's when they give you authority, recognition.
Or by presenting their results on a poster or during a talk at a scientific meeting.
Because they have no basis, on what basis to stand.
In a science, judges are interested in your findings regardless of whether or not they support your original hypothesis.
For them, the most important thing for judges, people who are coming to examine, is that you follow the rules. It doesn't matter either they are your side or it's the science that matters. It is the method.
Throughout the process of doing your science project, you should keep a journal containing all of your important ideas and information. This journal is called a laboratory notebook.
Yeah, those are where you jot all your each step you are doing. Yeah.
The scientific method is the best way yet discovered for winnowing the truth from lies and delusion.
It's the best way that has been discovered. So you cannot just use it in science alone. You cannot just use it in laboratories alone. It is the best way to separate lies from deception and from delusion. So now my question is this, it's going to be an uphill task. I understand what that man is saying. For us to introduce this into the whole society at large and build a whole community, a whole society, a whole nation on that basis. But we have to be determined. We have to be focused. Can you imagine if you yourself will begin to view the world through the scientific method, not reach any conclusion, not make any speech, not even express your opinion without making sure that you have, it has passed the test. If you begin to live by this method, begin to, at least the major things in your life, you begin to take it like this, and we begin to make it an acceptable norm in everything, in every area of life, then we'll be able to build a new generation, a new people, a new country, and a new continent. Let's see, I have a simple version, a rather simple version. I would like us to just run through that as well.
The simple version looks something like this. Number 1, observe some aspect of the universe. 2, invent a tentative description called a hypothesis that is consistent with what you have observed.
You remember that here we didn't put the question, which starts everything. Okay.
3, use the hypothesis to make predictions. I applied my heart to know, to search and seek out wisdom and the reasons of things.
This is research.
To know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness.
Research and hypothesis here.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 25. Number 4, test those predictions by experiments or further observations and modify the hypothesis in the light of your results. Number 5, repeat step 3 and 4 until there are no discrepancies between theory and experiment and or observation. When consistency is obtained, the hypothesis becomes a theory and provides a coherent set of propositions which explain a class of phenomena. A theory is then a framework within which observations are explained and predictions are made. Recommended book for this topic, The Mountain of Ignorance.
Mountain of Ignorance. That's where we are right now. Yeah, so I want to hear your opinions about this topic we did. It's a challenging topic, I know.
Yeah,
Huh?
no, you have to go. I don't know how to put it. I think for me, I'm happy that I'm seeing
Exposed
this
to
thing,
it.
because first and foremost, like you said, we need to apply to our
Daily
daily life. Until it becomes a part of us, there's no way we can say we want to go out there and propagate it, because you cannot propagate what you don't have or what you don't know.
Well, I want to ask you in particular, because you have been reading my books. You have read about 40 or 50 of my books, and you have listened to my messages a lot. Do you notice that Pastor Sunday is very intentional?
Yeah. Very,
And can you now get a lot of the explanations now?
very. I think after reading so many of your books, it just like it gets stuck to your head, and you can see the pattern. It's clearly you can see the pattern, and it helps you when you start reading. There's no way you want to keep the book down. There's no way. There's a pattern to it. You can see the act of writing.
Creativity.
Yeah, the act of the creativity. It's just this, and that I agree with what he was saying. It's like seeing you, because even though I've known you for just less than a year now, I've been watching and I've been observing and looking at and hearing what I'm hearing now. I can see it, that's the way you live your life. That's the way you do things. I remember I said that I've learned not to. I ask questions a lot, but with you, I've learned not to be too quick, too forward, because I know that at a point
the answer will be provided.
Yeah, if I just stay back and listen to you, you answer the question, and you might even answer it better than
I
way.
thought to ask.
Yeah, I thought to ask. So for me, I'll say I'm really happy that I'm seeing this, and it's something I have to go back, sit down, and really go through it all over again, because it's something that will really help us as individuals, because the nation we are talking about today, it is human beings that make up the nation. We make up the nation. If we cannot change after listening to it, then how can we expect others who does not have the information to change? So, like using Jesus Christ for example, he preached more with his lifestyle than he did with just verbal expressions. So people saw him, people saw his lifestyle, and when he spoke, they could relate to what he said with his lifestyle. So if we start to imbibe this into our life, then it will not be difficult when people hear you speak and they trust you and they believe you because they can see it in your life. But it's one thing when you are trying to tell somebody to do something, but they cannot marry it back to who is telling them. It becomes a challenge. And that's the problem we have in Christianity today. You are going out to do evangelism. You are going out to tell people to come into church. But the church they are seeing is completely different. Somebody was telling me that if this is what Christianity is, then I don't want to be part of it. I'd rather go to hell. That's what he said. So if we cannot change ourselves, then it's a complete waste. There's no two ways about it. So for me, I think it's something that we should, first and foremost, spend time to understand, make it a part of us, experiment with it, make sure that, it's true, it's what, because we've just received information, but we can't actually ascertain that, yes, truly it works until we've tested it ourselves.
Yeah.
So when we've tested it over and over again, we know, this thing works. Then we can now go out with confidence and say, why not try this?
Is there anybody who would like to say his own opinion about even just listening and just having the opportunity to go through this class, this particular one? Who thinks, maybe you are grateful or you think it will help our country or continent? Anybody want to say? Okay.
Yeah, as a zealous Christian, I've tried to speak to a lot of people, especially about Christianity, about faith, and my own opinions and the way I look at church and religion. And what I've noticed that is that most unbelievers don't take us seriously because they think that we only speak about our own experiences or rely on the experiences of pastors, and we don't come with evidence. So, okay, you speak about Jesus, you speak about what you believe, but where's the proof of what you believe or
No
what you stand
scientific
for?
evidence. You see, the
That is what they're
European
looking for.
society has been conditioned only to reason like this. But we don't have basis.
And I think that's why in Europe, because we try to approach everything intellectually, most people are atheists and don't believe because we as Christians, we have failed
We don't
to come.
produce.
Yeah, we don't produce. We have failed to come with evidence and proof. And that's what most Europeans need to see. And I believe that it's now the time for Africa also to see the scientific proof of, how to transform a nation.
Beautiful. Devушки, помогите убрать здесь воду, разлилась вода. Yes.
Sorry, I keep asking questions, maybe because it's about questioning.
That is it. That's
Okay.
it. Even with, why are you sorry about that? That's the whole, what's it all
Okay.
about.
My question is this. Since you employ us to engage in this scientific method of research and reasoning, so where is the place of faith? How do you measure faith? How do you put it into research? How do you go through the processes?
Okay. Faith.
Miracles, faith,
Okay.
the supernatural.
Keep on standing. Keep on
Okay.
standing. Very brilliant question. Very on-dot question. And I must explain something to you. Because many people don't know how to clarify me. Some of them think, is he a pastor? Is he a scientist? Who is he? Is he a businessman? They don't know how to clarify me. Okay. And that is possibly because we are coming from different school of thoughts. So, where is the place? Where is faith? Where is the place for faith?
Yes.
How should I explain this to you? I will get it, but this is serious, so I'm going to. Okay. Yeah. So where is the? I've done something. I don't know what I did. Oh, this one is going down. Anyway, don't worry. So let me explain to you. Where is the place of faith, miracle, supernatural? You must know this. I'm just going to speak from my heart. I hope I will be able to communicate. You must know this, that everything we are talking about now, scientific method, everything, it belongs to one world. And this world is called the earth. The earth is where we are now. It's one of the planets. They used to say there were 7 of the planets, but really there are more. But the earth is where men are made to live in. That's where we are. Now, this earth, this planet earth that we are in, is founded and created to function by certain laws and principles. So this thing I just explained to you now, scientific method, it is the rule to understand the functioning of planet Earth. So this scientific method, they belong to the world of the physical. Okay, let me say it in a different way. there are different dimensions or different worlds. The body that we have right now is given to us, and the five senses, the physical body and the five senses, are given to us to relate to the physical world, material, with the physical world and material world. And it is that material world, to understand it and to function effectively in it, that's why you need scientific method. Just like you don't use the body to relate and interact with the soul world, with the intellectual world, with the mind world. You use your mind to interact with the soul world, with the intellectual world. You don't use your body, you use your mind. The same thing, then there is another world where faith belongs, the spirit world. In the spirit realm or in the spirit world is where you need faith. So faith, God, belong in the spirit realm. So faith is what we use to communicate. Okay. In the physical world, you understand that we have five senses.
Yes.
Eyes. What do you use eyes to see? Angels? You don't see angels with them. Why? And you don't see God because it belongs in the physical realm. Ears. It belongs where? In the physical realm. This is part of the body. All these five senses, they are still part of the body. The body and its five senses are for interacting with the physical realm. That is the only thing, unfortunately, that is very elementary. That is the only thing some people know. Eyes, ears, taste, touch, and feelings. Right? So those are the things that those are the five senses that people just use to touch and relate to the world. But this is always limited. But the intellectual world, this is what we are doing now. This intellectual realm. Because intellect helps you to be able to make sense of it all. And for the intellectual world, you need the mind. That is another world. But the highest world or dimension, life, is spirit life. Now, when it comes to spirit life, you don't need scientific method. No. When it comes to the spirit life, you need the language of faith. You interact in the spirit world by faith. That's why it is by faith you get saved. But people in the churches today, because in paganism, people don't understand faith. So it always has to take work. That's why in paganism there is magic. There are a bunch of work that you have to do. You have to do sacrifice, you have to do something, you have to do something to get something. So, but in Christianity today, people still use that works as the basis of communication with God. So they say you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to, but that's not the basis of communication with God, really. The real basis for communication with God in the spirit realm is faith. All the other things that you do, do's and don'ts, they are just things that you are doing to show to the world that you belong to God. But they are not the basis for which you are relating to God. So the faith and spirit realm, relationship with God, all that, it is in another dimension, it's another world. It is the spirit world. But not spirit world like terrestrial world, like extraterrestrial. Not that one that I'm talking about. I'm talking about relationship with your Father as spirit being. We are spirit being, we use faith to contact and communicate with our Father. The just shall live by faith. Anybody that comes to God must believe that He is. And, without faith, no one can please God. It is through faith we are saved, not by works. It is faith belongs to another dimension. But when it comes to the earth here, faith, even if you have faith, you are using that faith to relate to God. But the fact that you are relating to God, if you are really relating to God, that whatever information that you are downloading to yourself by faith, or whatever revelation you are receiving by faith, still must be converted into some tangible or physical product so that you'll be able to function here on earth. To function on earth, we are in a material and physical world. So you still need to convert all your faith experiences. So that is why to go to church, for example, and just have faith in God and relate to God, if that is not being converted into some product or some understanding, you are not practicing faith. Because faith, because for anything to be relevant here on earth, your faith must be relevant. And for it to be relevant, it must either be touchable, seeable, it must be able to be felt, yes, by those five senses. Because that is how this realm operates. So, but for you now, as a faith person, to be able to always have a predictable result and a tangible result that is undeniable. That's what Livio was talking about. Whatever you get by faith, put it, convert it using scientific method. Nobody will be able to dispute you. So that's what he's trying to say. That, but what we do is that we just have experiences. We rejoice. We enjoy the goosebumps, and we say, "Oh yeah, I got miracle." But you are not producing evidences for the physical, and what people to see. You are not, the physical, touchable, evidences that are needed for them to be convinced. You are not bringing it through. And that is why faith without works, in that sense, without conversion, is dead. So whatever your relationship with God is, I have a whole series on that. My faith series, my conversion series, my how to convert spiritual experiences into physical product. Those are the things that are needed now in this generation for people to begin to believe us, not because of our testimonies or our stories that we are telling, but because we have been taught to be able to convert the experiences we are having into concrete, tangible products.
But sir, are there times...
And if you don't have that ability to convert, you will be limited. People will not respect you because you don't have product. But when you have the scientific methods and all that knowledge, they help you to convert. For example, if you are a child of God, you have just been relating to God, and God has just informed you that He wants you to build the latest jet in the whole world. But if you don't know scientific method, and you didn't study aviation, and you don't know engineering and physics, even though God has told you that, you will still not be able to convert it. Even though God told you that, because you will not even understand how to do it. But it doesn't matter what God tells you. If you don't know the laws of the earth, the methods that apply here, you are still helpless and limited, even though you are very spiritual. But the one who is just a scientist that doesn't know God at all, he will catch it, not by God talking to him or by being in the spirit, or just because he is studying, he will get to that and produce it, and you will not be able to produce it. So no matter your spirituality, you must know that your spirituality is needed for the earth. You are still living in the earth. So your spirituality still must be converted. Your spirituality might be needed in heaven when you die, but when you are still here, you must bring it down and still use this method to convert it. If you don't convert it, your spirituality is just an experience. And it will take faith for somebody to believe you.
Great, sir. Yeah, you've almost answered it. I was just going to say that for a person that has difficulty in converting all his spiritual realities, yes, should he be criticized or condemned for living out the faith realm that is not understood by the physical realm?
Yes, he has to be criticized and condemned.
Okay.
No, I didn't get that question again, please. Sorry.
I'm trying to say that, some have spiritual experiences, and they are unable to relate it to the material world. And at some times they are misconstrued, or they find it difficult to really relate their experiences. So, okay, I'm saying at such times, when it becomes very difficult to convert or translate your spiritual experiences to the material world, should such people be criticized, condemned, or?
Well, I don't. Yes. I'm not talking about if it is at such point, like you said. You just put that now, but you said initially somebody who doesn't convert, as a matter of principle, he just lives out of the spirit realm. It's good for him, but he must be condemned. Why? So I must also substantiate what I said. Why must he be condemned? He must be condemned because he's trying to be more spiritual than God. You know, God wants you to be spiritual, but God doesn't want you to be spirit. Because you are not created to become a spirit on the earth. In fact, you are originally a spirit, but God went and put that spirit under body, or he limited that spirit and put it under a physical, material, tangible substance that we call body. Why did he do that? Because it doesn't need you as a spirit. Right now, while you're on the earth, it needs you as body, physical, material body. So being spiritual is a waste of time. You can be spiritual, but don't overly dwell there. That is not where, if he needed you to be spiritual, he will keep you in heaven to be one of the spirits with the angels. But the reason why he let you come to the earth is because he needs you to be spirit, but don't dwell in the spirit. He needs you to be material. He needs you to be tangible. He needs you to be physical. He needs you to function in the physical world. And for you to be able to function in the physical world, even though you are spirit, he gave you that body that will enable you to touch and function on the physical realm, because that's what he needs you here for. You need the functionality, you need the body to function here. And if he gave you that body, it means your functioning is here. So now for somebody who has been given that body and the mind and everything that is, all the five senses, all those things that are needed and the mind and everything that is needed for him to be able to function as on earth, and for him now to seclude himself and say, no, I want to go back and become spirit. So first of all, you are calling God stupid. Number two, you are wasting the resources of God that he has put in you. Number four, you are being disobedient to God, because God said you should have dominion over. That's why he put you here, over the earth, not over angels, or not over heaven. No, you don't even have functions, or you don't even know anything about heaven, frankly speaking, while you are still on the earth, in the body. He said you should function here. He said till the ground here. He said keep it here. He said he put you here for that. He said he has made you the crown, and he has crowned you with glory and honor. He has made you the crown of all creation, so that you will be able to rule the earth for him. He said you should be fruitful here. He said you must multiply here. You must subdue this earth for him. So for you to now say you are being spiritual and you are dwelling just in the spirit, you are being irresponsible. Even people who didn't have sin, like like Eve and Adam, they were still functioning. They were still busy functioning on the earth. They were naming the animals, naming these things, and they were still functioning on the earth. If you are on the earth, you are not supposed to just live in the spirit realm. So that's why the people must be condemned. The people must be blamed, because your spirituality is supposed to be converted for the earth. That's why you yourself, you are still here as on the earth. Otherwise, God would have let you remain an angel or the spirit. I don't know if you didn't get it, huh?
So can I see it? Sorry, can I see it like this? That faith is getting information from God. Like Noah got the information that God wanted him to build an ark. He got the information, and then he did scientific research on how to build this ark, how to let it flow, and how to get as much as animals in it and all those stuff. And that is his way of converting his faith, and that is what unbelievers are doing right now. They see something in their spirit, and now they're making it tangible for the world to see.
Beautiful. And if you have listened to my faith series or the conversion series. That's exactly what I was talking about there. The Old Testament is all about, practicality, the illustration, the shadow of things to come, how we are supposed to live. It's not just Noah. That is how we are supposed to live. Noah met with God. God met with him. That is what we are doing when we pray. That is what we are doing when we walk in the Spirit. And then they saw something. If you have listened to my prayer series, it's all about that. That when you go to pray, you see what God sees. You hear, and then you come and convert by work. You come and do 2 wings of prayer. That's what he's talking about there. So just like that Noah is talking about, you see, when you go to pray, you see in the Spirit what God wants you to do, his plan for your life, and his plan for the world at large, for your community, for your country, for your sphere of influence, for your church. Whatever you see on daily basis, you must be converting them. That is how you please God. It's just like saying that Noah now has seen the instruction from God and never converted anything. It's a waste, it's a disgrace, it's a shame. And he said, no, I want to remain in the Spirit. You are a disgrace, a shame. The same thing happened with Moses. When Moses went to the mountain, God showed him how the tabernacle is supposed to be constructed. That is what faith, but those things are shadow of things to come in the New Testament. But in the New Testament, it is no more physical like that. Like, act in the physical or something. But it is now you. You don't need to go and meet with God, some wind flying or some fire coming or some wind or snake coming. No. It is now you are with him. It's in your spirit. You relate with him on daily basis. That is equal to that mountain that Moses went to. So your relationship with him should be generating, messages into you, revelation into you. And as you get that, you go and do your research. You go and study how to do that thing. And then you go through work and produce it. That is what Christian life is supposed to be about. That is why James was saying faith alone, relationship with God alone, without works or without conversion is dead. It's a mockery of God. So it's just the same thing as Noah getting revelation and just saying, I will not do anything like that. I mean, you are slapping God in the face. It's the same thing with Moses. He went to the mountain, came back, and was able to build the tabernacle. So the same thing happened during the time of Jesus. When they went to that mountain of transfiguration, the disciples wanted to say, let's remain here. It's not possible because the experience you had there, that is spirit. That is interaction with God. But that interaction with God must be converted into physical life. That is why the whole earth is created to be a duplication of the kingdom of heaven. So our relationship with God is we relating with God of heaven, and we are getting understanding of his wishes, his will. Let thy will be done. So the will that of God that we are discovering in the spirit realm is what we are now, let it be done on the earth. That is the whole essence of prayer. We don't pray to resolve our problems. We pray to find out will of God that is in his heart, in heaven. And since it's a spirit and we are spirit, we don't need to go to mountain. We are here. We don't even need to go to church. He's here with us all the time. So that my interaction with him is making me to see with the desires of his heart, whatever is in the spirit or in heaven. That thing that I am seeing and I'm understanding, the projects, the desire, I must go and educate my mind to be able to know how to implement it, to bring the will of God that is in heaven, in the heart of God, to the earth. So the whole essence of prayer and relationship with God is to discover God, his desires. It's not to resolve my problem. It's not to pray to God to come and do miracle for me. It's all about discovering his heart desires, his heartbeat, what he wants me to do, what he's seeing that I'm not seeing. It's regarding me, regarding the world at large, regarding people around me. I am downloading that information, then getting my mind educated, expanded, to be able to understand how to execute it. And I am doing it here. That is what the whole Christian life is all about. And that is why we saw that situation with Moses going to the mountain, with Noah going to the mountain, with Jesus and the disciple going to the mountain, then coming down and delivering the son of the guy, the person who was, it is the power and the understanding, the knowledge, the revelation you get, you bring them into practicality on the earth. But when you turn Christianity into going to ask God in heaven to come and do your needs, prayers, like to come and fulfill your need, you have just turned the table on God. It shouldn't be you on the earth taking your decisions on the earth to him to come and stamp. You have just turned it other. It is rather you going to him, finding out what his decisions and mind is, and bringing it down here to do, rather than you deciding what you need or what you want and then telling him to come and stamp it for you. That is paganism. Huh? Rebellion and paganism. But bring...
Let me just, from this last explanation, like if I understood you from this light, coming down.
But I've already taught on these things. Go and look for my faith series, prayer series. Okay. Faith series.
The
prayer series.
And life is predictable series.
Life is predictable series. And why planet Earth? Okay.
Coming down to Africa and coming down to what is happening presently in Nigeria. That means where the church missed it is we are trying to use the spiritual or prayer to change what we are supposed to use.
That is what we call paganistic worldview.
So that is where our problem is.
Paganistic worldview. Remember that. It's called paganistic worldview.
So we're not going to achieve results trying to pray down what we're supposed to use scientific methods.
And they keep telling us that we are spirit beings. So we have to operate the way you just explained it, that we are not supposed to. So that's what they are teaching the church. I think that is what got him confused.
Okay.
He said, we are spirit beings.
Okay.
So they didn't explain it to us the way you did.
Ah. So they rather tell people in church that they are supposed to be in the spirit. Ah. But the reason why you should be in the spirit is to communicate, to get the mind of the Father. Just like Jesus himself said, that the Son can do nothing except what he sees the Father. So that is what it means to be in the spirit. Just to be able to see what God wants to do on the earth. And you are coming to duplicate it. Because the earth itself is created to be a duplication of heaven. And we are the ones who are bringing together, down all those things that are in heaven and creating them here. Why do we say Europe is developed and Africa is not? Because Europeans, they use the gospel of the kingdom, which means they believed that heaven is good. So what does it mean to bring thy kingdom to earth as it is in heaven? The kingdom, let's find out what is in the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, the Bible said there is no cry. There will be no weeping there. So what does that mean? It means that if I belong to the kingdom, a citizen of the kingdom, I must work to reduce every pain, sorrow, and things that causes tear in people's lives. That is what it means bringing. So that is love, you see. But in paganism, you don't think about going to, you are not related to me, you are not related. If I do it for you, you come and help me. So that is paganism. But in this kingdom, because it is love, we are bringing heaven down to everybody. So if there is no pain there, no cry there, I am working like crazy to reduce other people's pain. That means I'm bringing heaven. That is the reality of heaven down. Now, for example, the Bible also says that in heaven, that the place is, the road there is made like from gold. Everything is clean. That is the level of the perfection and cleanliness. So what does that tell me? It means that if the city is like that, it means that we must build the best cities, cleanest cities. It must be, everything must be like, they talk about mansions. So can you imagine that kind of city? We are bringing the kingdom of God down. That's why we don't tolerate dirt. We don't tolerate gutters that is stinking, and we don't defecate everywhere, or what do you call it? Yeah, we build cities. We build large roads. Plain road, even if it cannot be as good like in heaven, but at least closest to that. That is why countries are developed when they begin to preach the message of the kingdom. If you have not listened to my message of the kingdom, go and listen to it. That is what it means to bring the kingdom of God down. Everything that is in the kingdom of God, that is what is righteousness, peace, joy, or anything you can see that is obtainable in heaven. That is what Christians are supposed to be living for. Not for self, no selfishness in heaven. It is rather selflessness that is there. And the glory of the sun is the light of the place. It means that as much as I live in the sun with Christ, in his unity with him, the more light I bring to the world, the more energy. Because there is no darkness there. It means that I am illuminating. Darkness is ignorance. I am destroying ignorance on the earth. I'm bringing light and understanding to people. That's the whole essence of the kingdom of God, of the gospel of the kingdom. But in Africa, people don't know the gospel of the kingdom yet. They only know the gospel of salvation. Get people saved and get them out of here. But the kingdom of God is bringing rather, let thy kingdom come to the earth as it was already over there.
That's why the pastor
You don't have microphone now.
Yes, that's why the pastor don't understand you, because he used the gold in the streets of heaven. That's the reason why MFM, Deeper Life don't use gold. Yes.
But when they get to heaven, what would they do? Would they protest?
Yeah, they say there's no point.
When they get to
The
heaven,
street of heaven is full of gold.
would they protest? They will refuse to walk on the street in heaven.
So it's just opposite of what you are saying.
No, but the microphone is here.
So, let me put it this way. The last 10-15 minutes, you've given us something that is
10 years.
I don't know how to put it. Because now you have explained Christianity the way it was never practiced in Africa. And this is what Christianity is supposed to be. But the one that was introduced to us is
paganism.
It's
paganistic
Christianity that was given to us by those who introduced it in Africa. And that's why Africa is still holding it up till today. And this is the problem. That's why there is wickedness in Africa. That's why nobody wants to work for the good of the people. Anybody?
Paganism.
Yeah.
No love.
So, because the issue of faith, everybody will be telling you faith is evidence of things, not seen. But they don't want to bring it to the reality of the way God entrusted it to us.
Okay, faith is the evidence of things not seen, which is true. But what does that mean? That means that the just shall live by faith, which we are the just. So what is the things not seen? Everything that is not yet been done, that is not yet physical, it means they are in the spirit realm. Because everything that is seen, it is temporal. But the things that have not yet seen, they are the things that is faith. That's what I live for. For example, what is not yet seen in Africa? Peace is not yet seen. I bring it down. What is not yet seen in Africa? Security is not yet seen. I bring it down. I look into, even if everything is in Europe here, everything is ready, I look into the spirit realm. The things that are not yet seen on the earth, these are the things that I see in the kingdom of God. I bring them down. Faith is living by not the things that I already have, but by the things that are not yet seen by human being on the earth. I take it from the heart of God. Just like Moses took that from the heart of God. Just like Noah took the ark from the heart of God. Just like Moses took the tabernacle from the heart of God. There are projects, there are ideas. The jet I was talking about, it is in the heart of God. I see into it by the Spirit. I come and build it. And I move on to the next one. Living by faith means I am no more living by the church that I built here in Russia. Because the church I built here in Russia is already something that is seen already. I look into the new project that is in the heart and mind of God. I see new Africa. I derive it. I go and expand my mind how to do it, and I bring that. After bringing that and see it, I go into God again. What are the things again I don't see? I come and see it in the spirit, and I make it visible. I make it seeable. I make it tangible. Once I make that tangible, I go to God again and get another thing. That is what it means. Faith is the evidence of things not seen.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is how it's supposed to be in the life of everyone that calls himself a Christian. Because Jesus showed us the sample. He was approached. He was asked to pay the temple tax. He didn't have the money in his pocket, but in the spirit realm, he has seen the money. He has seen where to get the money.
And he produced it in the physical.
He produced it in the physical by telling Peter, go there, catch that fish, bring the money.
Yeah.
And the temple tax was paid. This is how we're supposed to draw from God, whatever it is we need in life. But first of all, that thing must be in line with the heart of God, with what God wants for us to do, with the work he has called us to do for him. And this is why we are appreciative of the fact that we have this opportunity to be here today. We've gotten more than we bargained for. And we thank you so much.
More than we bargained for.
I'll give you, let me just, what I just want to say or encourage people to do is please, you come online every day, you listen to Pastor Sunday every day, live broadcast every day. But there are thousands of messages on YouTube.
All these things I've already spoken about them.
Just go to YouTube and begin to feed yourself. Because I wanted to say, I don't know if Tope had listened to the Faith series. Yeah, but if you
it's not possible to just listen to one.
A lot. I mean,
has to
a
be
lot.
this full series.
Yeah, the full series, right? You begin to pick, even though if you don't know it in totality, you begin to pick an understanding of what Pastor has been trying to say. You understand? And after listening to the Faith series over and over again and listening to the prayer series, like Pastor taught us in the first HMT I came for, there are two sides to everything. Like when God created light, the way he taught us was he discovered that there was an issue. And the issue was that darkness was lurking somewhere. But from the light and darkness, he created a product called day and night by separating them. Now, when I listened to the Faith series, one of the challenge I saw, or I'll say risk, I will explain it this way. Have you ever seen a hose, we call it hose or pipe, that you can use to water your gardens? Now, if you plug the pipe to the source of water that has a high pressure of sending out water to water the garden, if the hose is blocked, after a while, something will happen. The hose will be forced out of the mouth of the tap. You understand? So I see us as a channel between heaven and earth to bring down stuff.
Yes.
Now, if you, like Tokwe was saying, if you live just in the spirit realm and you keep collecting, but you are not converting it to physical, the risk there is that you'll be cut off. You'll be cut off. And I think that is what has happened in the Nigerian church, because we focus so much on the spirit realm. God has been downloading stuff, but we are not converting it. And now we're cut off from God. And you still think, oh, you are living in the spirit. But he has moved on because you are useless to him. Because the pipe that is receiving water but is not watering the plant is useless. So it's two things. It's either you unblock it or you get rid of it and look for another pipe. And that's what is happening, because God has just moved on from a lot of people and is looking for new people who can download information and convert it. So for me, I see it as a risk. If you continue to live on that plane and just receiving and not dispersing. So there's a risk involved, and that's one risk we should also put at the back of our mind, that we can be cut off from God if we become used. That's why I think Christ was saying that any branch in me that does not bear fruit, I will do what? Cut off. And that's the fruit we are talking about. If you don't, you say the branch is part of the vine. And the vine, life flows in the vine. It is the same life that flows in the branch. But if the branch is not bearing fruit, then it becomes useless. Get rid of it and look for something else. So
the series, for those people of you who want to go and study this more, how we are supposed to function here, please write down this series. The series where I spoke about these things is series number 5, which is the Kingdom series. Series number 6, which is the Prayer series. Series number 9, which is the Conversion series. And series number 10, which is the Faith series. But more specifically, it is series number 9 and 10. But in a broader way, it is series 5, 6, 9, and 10. But as more specifically, series 9 and 10. But in a broader way, series 5, series 6, and series 9 and 10. Yeah, I think it is Shinwe that wanted to talk. Huh? Okay, Felix is talking. Series 6, series 5, series 6. Series 5 is the Kingdom series. Series 6 is the Prayer series. Series 9 is the Conversion series. And series 10 is the Faith series. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I just want to affirm what Chris is saying. And when we are disconnected with God, sometimes we don't know that we've lost God and we've lost the power that God has given us. And what happened, like Samson, when he lost his power, he thought he still had the power. And then he rose up to try and shake off the Philistines. And what happened? They have to capture him. And this is the situation with Christianity in Nigeria. They think they have the power. They think they can cause, and the cause will take effect. But from month to month, from year to year, nothing is happening. And this is an unfortunate situation for us. That's why we have to go back to God and ask for forgiveness that is based on true repentance, and for him to come back and heal
our land.
Our land and
us.
And us.
Okay. Shinwe wanted to say.
Prior to this time, I was having a bit of challenge in the message of faith. I'm actually a person of faith also, but because of so many versions of faith messages, yes, I've heard, at a point I became confused in the faith message, and also even in applying it to myself.
It is paganistic faith that they teach now.
Yeah, I became afraid because of some questions I couldn't ask, and I remember a minister of God trying to prepare us for miracle. When they want to preach faith, perform miracle, they'll prepare you with teaching. There's this remarkable statement he made. He said, too much analysis paralyzes initiative. You understand? So as you've been teaching, as this scientific method and everything and the analysis, so I began to say to myself, that means that statement meant we shouldn't ask questions.
Yes.
We shouldn't analyze things.
Shouldn't think.
We shouldn't think. A whole lot of things was taken away from us from that big and ambiguous message and the statement. So that's exactly what he's trying to just believe what you are told and just receive.
Not become a zombie.
That's exactly what it is. That's what I. So proud to now you explain faith, and the whole thing became so clear in just a few seconds. You just said one or two things. That's just what I want to add. Am I giving?
Success.
I think this teaching also affirms the fact that one of the biggest problems that we have right now is a lot of solutions are stored up in churches because people have answers to security, to healthcare, to education, and economy, and all of those things. But the people that have the solutions, they are not allowed, they are not released for the scientific method to go bet them physically, to go carry them out. So there's a lot of death and unfortunate things that are happening out there. But the people with the solution, they are somewhere just locked up, caged. And yet the Bible says that the earnest expectation of creation is still waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. So these people are crying out every day, but unfortunately the sons of God are supposed to manifest. They have also become wailers. So they are also joining in the crying. They are also joining. The paganistic mindset tells them that God is coming to intervene someday. So until we understand that we are solution providers, that we have the answers, and that we release the people, we empty the church halls, and we release the people onto scientific methods to go bet the solution that they've carried in the spirit. I was saying in the last HMT I was sharing that when I was to formulate my proposal for my PhD, I absolutely was using the same principles that DSA has taught over time, over the years, because I thought in heaven, there is no sickness, there is no disease, there is no, everybody's healthy. So I decided to formulate a PhD proposal based on zero-cost healthcare, that everybody should be able to access healthcare without
universal healthcare.
Universal healthcare. People should be able to have free access to healthcare based on, and I was surprised that there have been discussions by experts based on these things before. So if I didn't have that understanding, then it would still be like a spiritual.
You'll be praying.
So I had to bet that.
You'll be going to mountain to get power.
To pray. I will also be wanting to heal the sick and raise the dead and all those things like that. So the solution is inside of us. When we go for research, there's a lot of things that become clearer, and we understand that the mind of God has already provided the solution for all the problems of man.
Beautiful. Okay, so this is you people wanted to know my drink, my breakfast ingredient.
Share it to the group, please.
This is the ingredient here. If you want, you can take the photograph. Okay, you want to read it? Huh? It's not plantain leaf like the African plantain, no.
Which one?
It is something else. I will show you now. It is this one, yeah. Okay, show us orange, clear, yeah? Or orange and the back of the orange.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. Then number 2 is, yes, nettle and mint. That is mint, you see. That is mint, yeah. The two of them. And basil. What is basil? Basil, yeah.
That's basil.
Basil leaf. Where is it? Show us. The one. Which one? Basil leaf. Okay, that other one is lemon. It's mint. No, the one down. Mint, yeah. And that one is basil leaf. Nettle. That's nettle. Nettle mint. Yeah, but that is basil. Show us basil. Basil, and then dandelion. That's dandelion. These are all the leaves, not the flower, the leaf. Then the lemon.
P.3.
The lemon is there. Huh?
The P.3, the top one. Okay.
Yeah, it's like Christmas.
There is P.3. A plantain tree is plantain tree. A leaf, yeah. Plantain leaf. That is the plantain leaf. Not the plantain, African plantain. No.
In English is plantain leaf.
Yeah.
Is that an English translation?
Yes.
Yeah. That's strange. Yeah.
So this is what they use, but not necessarily everything in one. It could be 3-3 or 4-4. Not all at once. No. Mixture of different ones, yes. So in a day, it could be 3 or 4, or just 3, but mixture of different ones. But if you want, you can also go and research the health benefit of these things. And yes, and remove and try. Yeah. Hypotheses and variables. Yeah. Okay, I think that's all for today.